Hey everyone, Paul Piper here in the studio. I want to welcome you. I wanted to do a little bit of a discussion on drum music and how we read it. And I'm going with different styles of drumming, rock, jazz, whatever the case may be. And this is something that I am going through with my students as well. But this is a notation and rest value system that I came up with. And this is going to be going into my drum book. I'm still working on getting that done. So this is just a cheat sheet version. It will be all printed up nicely when it's in the book before gets published and stuff like that. But I'm still working on it. A lot of students ask me, okay, I'm looking at drum music. I see these little stems with these little black dots on them, and I see these little squiggly lines and things that look like a little seven and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? I have to come up with a way to help students understand that all of those are symbols and all of those have value, whether it's silence value, which is, of course, our rest, as well as notation value, which is, of course, the notes. Now, on this system, I start out with several areas of counting, notation, rhythm. We start with the actual notation. If you look on the far left top, we start with a whole note, half note, quarter note, and so on. We go on down to the note values. And when we look at multiples, starting with the eighth notes, a lot of my students are asking, why can't we just do individual eighth notes? Well, for one, it'd be hard to read. And secondly, it's a lot more easier to just write the stems and dots and connect them with the bar, which is what you'll see with the eighth notes. And again, that goes with the 16th, 32nds, and 64th notes as well. Also, the dot is very important. We do a lot of stuff as far as the dotted 8/16ths, whether we're doing jazz or fusion or funk, the dot plays a very important role. It is worth a half a count, and you add it to any note with a full count, it does add a half a count greater in value. So let's say if you have two eighth notes, as from the example you see in the middle of the page, you add the dot, it pushes that right one over to a 16th, which turns it into a dotted 8/16. So very popular with shuffles, jazz patterns, you name it. So that's a very important part of this system. Anyway, to the right of the multiples, we have all the rest values as well as the count values. Very important. So if you're reading drum music, even the rest play a very important role when you're looking at certain things in a drum chart. Okay, let's jump down to the time signatures. Okay, very important. Time signatures are made to identify each line of drum music, whether it's in 6/8 time, 4/4 time, 2/4 time, you name it. Sorry about the dogs if you can hear them. So the top number tells you how many counts are in a measure. The bottom number tells you what note receives the count. Now, if you look closely, the answer is right in front of you. Let's say if we have a 2/4 measure, that means there's two counts in a measure. For the four note, another word for four is quarter. So it'd be the quarter note that gets the count, okay? Also, a lot of my students, when they see drum music, they don't know where the toms or the voicings are, snare, bass drum, when they look at the clef. So I did a little voice chart on the bottom left here that explains a little bit about where the toms are, the bass drums, the snares, the side stick, if it was a 7-piece kit or 6-piece kit, where the third and fourth toms would be. And most importantly, if you look to the bottom of the right, we have notation, the page notes, which is very important. And this is just an overall rule of learning how to read drum music. If you can understand this system and you get through it and you know all your notes, your rest values, your multiples, your time signatures, your voicings, as well as count values, you're going to get through anything you read when it comes to drum music. And again, this is a system that I've been using with my students. It's very effective and it is working. Now, going with also, I've been working on a 3-part equalization warm-up that helps with the right hand as well as the left hand. And the whole thing is, when I teach a lot of my students, I notice that if they're right-handed, their left hand's a little bit weak. I mean, we don't have it as flexible as the right hand when they're doing something as a double stroke roll or anything like that as far as the rudiments go. So what I have here is a system. Now we start with the inverted double, which is basically a series of doubles. And if you were to go through each line, you're going to see that the right hand and the left hand deviate with each other. They change. So the first line is just a regular right, right, left, left. And then what we do is we invert that on the second line. Then we start with the left, and then we do turn around back to the right. Okay, so that's a very important warm-up. It's very effective. It will help equalize both your right hand and left hand. Now, the one below that is the 4-3-2. Basically, this is the method that I teach as far as when we do our bounce techniques. I call it gravity bounce. So what we do is we let the stick just bounce, right? And then we catch after 2, and then we catch after 3, and then we catch after 4. So if you just let the stick bounce, you can see my hand, you just let the stick bounce like that. Then what we do is we do catch after 2, catch after 2, catch after 3, catch after 4. Okay. Now the reason why I work on this training is because of this 4-3-2 example. Now the black notes are basically your bass drum hits. They are basically just quarter notes, but they do align themselves with the stickings of the 4-3-2. You have a set of 4, set of 3, and a set of 2. Now, when you want to repeat this, you don't do the last right. You go ahead and just loop it. So when you do your last 2 doubles, right, right, left, left, you're going to go back and start it again. Now, these warm-ups are about speed. So when you get comfortable doing these warm-ups, you go faster. And then once you get faster, you feel comfortable, and then you go faster than that. Okay, so the 4-3-2 is a very important warm-up to help with the equalization of your right and left hand. The bottom one is a 6 single, 6 left single, 6 right single, and this is really cool because it helps not only control bounce after 6 times, but it helps you to improve your sticking as well when you're doing these types of warm-ups. So what we do from now is and I'll show you the next page, which is this is a cool one because this works both your right hand as far as 8/8 notes on each, and then we go to your left. And then what we do is we put the 16th note as the variation. Okay, so what we're doing is we're basically adding our right and left hand together, double timing it to 16th note patterns, ending with 8 notes on your right hand. The third line is we start it with our left hand, and we do the same thing. All right, we turn it into 16th notes, in with your left hand, and then we repeat the cycle faster. So that's how we get through these warm-ups. This is a great warm-up, and this will help equalize your right hand and your left hand. Thirdly, we have accent training, as well as extended right, extended left hand. If you look at the very top, we have 16 rights, 16 lefts. And then we go to the second line, which is we have 4 measures, okay? 8/8 notes on the first measure. We repeat that 4 times, okay, just so you can get used to the pattern. Then we go to the second measure, 4 times. Third measure, you notice it's in 3. We do that 4 times, and then lastly, we end the last measure 4 times, okay? Now below is accent training, and I did a video on this a few weeks back, but what we do with accent training is we play the accents loud enough to where you can hear them, and this is an alternating example where you do right, left, right, left, right, left through the whole thing. The filler notes are basically the ones that are not accents, so you lower the volume, and we usually keep our drumsticks about about 2 inches off the snare head. But when we do the accents, we do about 1 foot up in the air, if you can just picture that, okay? But all in all, this whole training sequence will help you equalize both your right hand and left hand, right? And again, if you ever find yourself getting a little bit stiff with your left hand or a little bit stiff with your right hand, you're gonna notice a major difference. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play some short examples of a few of these, starting with the inverted double. And basically we're gonna go right, right, left, left, and then invert it. So I'll show you how that all works here real quick. Okay, that was the fourth. That actually the inverted double. It's really effective. It holds true to, again, getting your right hand left hand equalized. Now the next one's a 4-3-2. It goes a little bit like this. Anyway, that's the first two examples on the first page I just showed you. Now, if you jump down to the second page, if you remember, the second page was with the sequence of the 16th notes and the 8th notes. Okay, so what we're going to do there is I'm going to show you how to do the 8th notes right, 8th notes left. We then turn it into the 16th notes, and we repeat the cycle starting with our left hand. So here we go. Okay, so that's how that warm-up goes. And if you look at the third page, which is what we're doing with the accent training, you'll notice that all of those are 16th notes. So what I'll do is I'm going to play the first two lines so you can kind of get an idea of how this works. Again, we lower the volume by only making the drumstick go up about 2 inches from the snare head surface. But when we do the accents, we then bring the stick up about a foot or so to accentuate the accent on these 16th note accent training ideas. All right, so here we go. And what I'll do is I'll add the bass drum as a reference. Actually, the hi-hat would be better. So these are quarter notes. So there you have it, guys and gals. That is the training tidbit I wanted to show you today as far as equalizing your right hand, your left hand, and may we all be better drummers. Remember, drummers, whether you're drummers or instrumentalists, you're always learning, okay? Never feel that you have a cap on it. Some of the best players in the world are always still learning. So with that, y'all have a great rest of the day, and we'll catch you again later. Take care.